Okay. So solving inequalities is almost identical to solving equations. Michael, thank you, please. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting this on. This will be on YouTube, so if you want to look at it later and see it again, you can. So, Michael. So first of all, you're going to solve just like an equation. It's going right now, yeah. No. No, awesome. Take out your pencil. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to solve it just like any other equation. So all the steps that we learned for solving equations, you combine your like terms, you want to isolate the x value, all of that stays the same. There's only one different thing for solving an inequality, and that is a special rule when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. So we solve everything like we solved before, except for whenever you multiply or divide, not add or subtract, adding and subtracting doesn't matter, but when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you're going to have to flip the inequality. So here's our first question. Were you done? Not yet?
I had one more word.
One more word. I'll put it back up. So if we were solving this like it was an equal sign here, can you see that 14 and 34 are like terms? You could put them together by subtracting 14 on both sides. That would give you minus 2x is bigger than or equal to 20. Or 2r, sorry. Minus 2r is bigger than or equal to 20. Now what would you do next if you were solving? You'd divide both sides by negative 2. So we do that as well. But now we're getting to that special rule because we are dividing by a negative number. So on this side, negative 2 divided by negative 2, you'll just get r. On this side, what's 20 divided by negative 2? Negative 10. And instead of writing greater than or equal to, it will be less than or equal to. Now I'll show you why that happens. Would you agree that 10 is bigger than 3? Yes. If you add 2 to both sides, is it still true? And if you subtracted 5 from both sides, it still would be true. If you would multiply both sides by a positive number, if I'd multiply both sides by 6, is that still true? 42 is still bigger than 6. And if I would divide both sides by a positive number, say I divide both by positive 2, it's still true. But as soon as you multiply by a negative number, let's say I multiply this one by negative 1, negative 21, negative 3, all of a sudden this is not true. Because negative 21 is not bigger than negative 3. So when you multiply by a negative, you have to switch the sign. Same thing would happen if I would divide. Erase this. Let's say I divide both sides by a negative 3. 27 divided by negative 3 is negative 7. And 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. Also, Negative 7 is not bigger than negative 1. So you'd have to go back and switch the sign. So the special rule, and we see why it happens with our examples on the side, so whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number with an inequality, you're going to have to flip the sign. And in this case, we had to do that, so we flipped the sign, and r is less than or equal to negative 10. Perfect. If we look at the second one, how would you get, are there any like terms in the second one? 2x and minus 20? Nope, they're already separated. How would you get x by itself in this one? Divide it by 2. Do you have to flip the sign? No. So you just get x is less than or equal to minus 10 as your answer. I gave you more space than I gave myself, right? How would you get m by itself in the next one? Multiply both sides by 5. Do I have to switch the sign? No, because I'm multiplying by a positive. 5 times 50 is 250, and that's your answer. M has to be bigger than 250. Seven x minus 2 is less than 26. There are like terms here. First thing you would do is add 2 to both sides, so you get 7x less than 28. Then you would need to divide by 7. Do I have to flip the signs when I divide by 7? No, because it's a positive number, and you'll get x is less than 4. Here, this whole thing, I'm going to put this one on a bigger screen because we're going to have more steps for this one. Here, this whole thing is divided by 6. The opposite of dividing by 6 is multiplying by 6, and we're going to do that first. Multiply this side by 6 and this side by 6. These 6's will simplify, and you'll be left with minus 2d plus 4 greater than or equal to 6. Are there any like terms? No. The 4, and now it'll be a 6. 4 and the 6. So we can subtract 4 on both sides. And how would I get d by itself? Divide by a negative 2. Do I have to switch the sign? No. Yes. Because we're dividing by a negative number. So this is one where we have to flip the sign. Okay, 2 more on that page for you to try. Oops. 2 more on this page for you to try. I'll put up the answers in a bit to see if you got it. 1450. Now, we want this value. Does it make sense? 1450 times x is going to be how much money she's going to make. We want this to be at least $600. So this is an inequality because this has to be bigger than or equal to, because that's what at least would be, 600. So x is the amount of hours. How would we figure out what x is if we were solving this? Divide both sides by 1450. And of course, you'd need a calculator for that. So 600 divided by 1450. 41.4. So she would have to work 42 hours or more. And I rounded up because 41 hours wouldn't be enough. So that's pretty much full time. A little bit more than full time. $600 a week. I think she's 8. That's how old she is. 8-year-old. Her parents don't let her go to school. All they do is they make her work all day to make money. They also charge her $2,300 in rent a month.
I bet you they tax her too.
Probably tax her too.
She's only 8.
All right, question number 9. Chris builds dog houses. Each one sells for $115 and takes 4 hours to make. Chris wants to make at least $1,000. How many dog houses will he have to sell?
8. Gabe, stop guessing. I knew it.
Okay.
I called it.
All right, I'm gonna let X equal the number of dog houses he sells. Let X equal the number of dog houses he sells. So 115 times X, does that make sense that that's how much money he would make?
No. Yes.
Because if he sells 5 dog houses, you'd say 115 times 5.
Yes.
7 dog houses, 115 times 7. He wants to make at least $1,000. So what is he? If the 1,000 is here, what symbol would I have in between so that it shows that this is at least 1,000? Something greater than or equal to. Perfect.
Yes. It smells like pizza. Sorry, butter is over pizza. Oh no.
So now if we wanted to get X by itself, we divide by 115. Will I have to switch the sign? I'm dividing? Do I have to flip the sign? No, because I'm dividing by a positive number. So dividing both sides by 115, 1,000 divided by 115 gives you 8.7.
Told you, Butters. You were off. I still guessed it right. It was in the 8s. Yeah. Mr. Darrell?
So do you think this will work? You can just make 8.7 of them?
No, you gotta round it up to 9.
Yeah.
Right.
See, dude?
I still got it right when it was in the 817, right? No. Okay, let's agree to disagree. English.
English, whatever.
So when we have our answer to our inequality, we would write he has to sell 9 or more. Because if he sold 10, that would be fine. If he sold 11, that would be fine. But he has to sell 9 or more to make it $1,000. He wants to work no more than 50 hours. How many houses can he make? Do you like that?
Oh,
How many houses? I should put a little S in there. Nice. How many houses can he make? How would we set this one up?
Oh, 50 divided by
4x and whatever.
4x, because for every one it takes 4x has to be
Then it equals 50.
equals 50. Does he want to work perfectly 50?
50.
Less than?
Greater.
Will it have the equal sign with it? No more than 50 hours. Could he work 50 hours? Does that statement say he's okay if he works 50?
Yeah.
Just as long as it's no more than 50? So is 50 okay? Yeah, 50 is okay. Then you put in could be equal to.
50 hours, 1 minute. Not good.
Take the 4.
Divide both sides by 4. So he wants to work less than 12 and a half hours. Or no, he wants to, make less than 12 and a half dog houses.
So I make 10.
You can't make half a, well, I guess you could technically make half a doghouse. He could just not be done, right?
He could just split it in half.
Just, or maybe he's halfway done and he stops.
Or he
Puppy
just
house.
splits it in half.
What if he makes a puppy house?
It's a
Half of a dog house? No.
big
Like those English words where they put two words together, like dog houses. My favorite English word that has two words together has 3 sets of double letters in a row.
What is it?
Like if you let's see what's like the word tool has double O, right? Vacuum has double U. There's a word that has a double letter, 3 in a row. And the word is one of these ones that gets put together. Bookkeeper has 2 O's, then 2 K's, then 2 E's. I think it's the only word in the English language that has two. Bookkeeper has 2 K's, 2 O's, and 2 E's all in a row. That's kind of crazy.
Bookkeeper. How's that your favorite word?
It's my favorite word with 2 words together.
Why bookkeeper?
Because it has 2 O's, then 2 K's, then 2 E's. That's so rare.
Bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping also does.
So there's 2 words.
Maybe if you kept lab books, then you'd become a lab bookkeeper. And if that was all one word, then you have 2 B's, then 2 O's, then 2 K's, then 2 E's. But I don't think that's a word. I'm recording this. I should stop. Okay. Anyways, here we go.
Yeah, let's just post that on YouTube.
Favorite app. Now you'll know my favorite forever and ever. Planning a sports banquet. The cost of a dinner is $450 plus $24 per person. You only have a $2,000 budget. How many people can attend?
How would you manage to spend $450 in the summer?
Well, you probably have to pay for the hall and for all the just buying the place.
Never mind. I thought you just went out with the family for dinner or whatever.
Yeah, if you just went out for family for dinner and spent $450,
It's been $450.
that's pretty expensive. You spent $450?
I spent $300.
Well, I ate like $100 for food. My dad ate $100. My mom ate like $80. My sister ate like $60. So
That's expensive.
they cheat out.
So you're going to pay $450 no matter what. If only one person comes to the banquet, this is not going to be a very fun banquet, then you would add another 24. If 2 people came to the banquet, you'd add 24 twice. Can you see that you can show the cost as 24 times X, depending on how many people come? Yeah, 2 people would be pretty bad. Now, if the total can't go over 2,000,
4 people and 1 baby.
what symbol is going to be here? What inequality? Less than, could it equal 2,000? Yeah, because your budget's 2,000, so if you spend exactly 2,000, you're okay.
What if you spend a penny over 2,000 if you're in America?
Now, how do you solve this?
You subtract the 450.
Subtract the 450 from both sides.
Which would make it 1,000.
Yeah, I said that.
Well, you didn't get it.
And then you divide both sides by 24. Do I have to switch the inequality?
Yes. No.
No, because it's a positive number.
Spelling test, Butters. Spelling bee.
Probably.
We should go to spelling bee.
Okay.
Butters and I are gonna have a spelling bee, Mr. Jarrett.
Now, how do you round? When you have 64.5, normally you'd round up to 66, right?
Yes.
But why am I going to say in this one you can have at most 64 people?
So you just round down.
Why do you round down?
Because you have half the first people.
Because it'll be over your budget if you go up to 65, right? You can invite half a person, but that's usually a little bit messy and awkward. So we'll just keep it at 64 people. Okay, so now we are done this. This is going to be on the quiz.